My name is Jeff Lichterman, and I thank you for being here. Israel is central to who we are. We pray towards Jerusalem. We end the Passover Seder with next year in Jerusalem. And we vow, if I forget Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. For nearly 2,000 years, our ancestors prayed for a return to the land of Israel while living under constant threat, pogroms, expulsions, inquisitions, and the Shoah. And then, impossibly, the dream came true. We live in a miraculous time. The Jewish people have a nation, a home, and the ability to defend ourselves. Many of us might be living in Israel today, if not for the decision made by our ancestor. And yet, once again, the threat to Jewish life has arisen, both in Israel and in the diaspora. This is the second time in less than a year I've sponsored an Israeli defender to speak at Temple Beth Am. I do this to strengthen your pride, your confidence, and your support for our Israeli brothers and sisters. They need it, they deserve it, and the consequences of indifference are too great. Tonight also concludes Tisha B'Av, the day marking the destruction of our temples and the beginning of our exile. Out of that exile came something extraordinary, a deep sense of mutual responsibility amongst Jews everywhere. The creation of Israel changed our reality, but it did not cancel that responsibility. It made it more important. Since October 7th, my Zionism has intensified. I've spent nearly 2 months in Israel out of the last 12. I've toured IDF bases, volunteered on them, received briefings, visited the devastated communities near Gaza, helped the border guards, worked in underserved neighborhoods cleaning shelters. I read the Israeli papers daily and follow their media closely. I share this so you know my perspective is informed and firsthand. I've been deeply inspired by Israelis, both soldiers and reservists, intelligence officers, kibbutzniks and settlers, social entrepreneurs, Yemeni and Ethiopian Jews, and yes, Muslim and Bedouin Israelis who proudly serve in the IDF and the border police. They are warm, courageous, selfless, and value leaving no one behind. In the photo behind me, the commander of the Jerusalem border guards I support is a Muslim Arab Israeli. On the other side is tonight's speaker. But Israelis are trapped between a rock and a hard place. Every compromise with Arab leadership has been interpreted as weakness. Every attempt at coexistence has resulted in more dead Jews. Israelis I am with routinely point to a nearby town and say, that is where the next October 7th will come from. Extremist leadership, funded and armed by outside powers, fuels a zero-sum conflict. I have seen the donation plaques from Turkey and Qatar personally. Meanwhile, well-meaning Westerners misunderstand the dynamic entirely. International EU and UN funding enables violence. The Palestinian Authority pays families to sacrifice their children to kill Jews. Daniel showed me a Palestinian Authority center where they're training and arming a 60,000-man assault force, double the size and lethality of the police force agreed at Oslo. Oops. Today, Israeli life reflects this tragic reality. I watched an interview with a 12-year-old Arab boy who said his dream when he grows up is to be dead. It's better. I drove through an interchange minutes before a ramming attack occurred there. That night on TV, the attacker's father proudly celebrated his son's martyrdom. These values put death over life. And the stories from October 7th survivors and released hostages demonstrate that death alone is not enough for these monsters. Israelis live beside an evil most of us cannot comprehend. It persists because Israelis are constrained by Jewish ethics and Western law. All attempts at compromise have been thwarted. This ideology cannot be eradicated, only contained until its leadership changes. Many Arabs want peace and prosperity. Their suffering comes from their failed institutions and their corrupt leaders, not from Jews. And yet, in the midst of all this, Israelis continue to choose life. They continue to build, to create, to help one another, to hold on to hope. This resilience is the most Jewish thing I have ever witnessed. We, in a Reformed Jewish community that values justice, compassion, and human dignity, must embrace the privilege and responsibility of supporting Israel. Both Jewish and Arab lives depend on Israel's strength. Tonight, we welcome Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Jacob, a man whose life reflects profound devotion to Israel's security and her people. He protects Israel both in and out of uniform. Daniel has spent hundreds of days in reserve duty recently, safeguarding the Nablus region, leading 900 soldiers, and like all IDF officers, going into danger ahead of his troops. Lara and I have visited his base and have seen how his soldiers prevent attacks and weapons manufacturing coming out of Balata and Hurara. But Daniel's impact goes far beyond the battlefield. Through his volunteer work with Magen 48, Boots for Soldiers, trauma recovery programs, Magav and Mechina mentorship, he strengthens Israel from within. Please join me in a round of applause and welcome Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Jacob. This is your clicker. That's your clicker. Click once.
Shalom to you all. Hope you're feeling well. I could talk with my Hebrew accent, but I'll talk with my American accent because I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. 48 years ago, and I made Aliyah with my family 45 years ago, so I don't remember a lot over there since living in Israel. But my grammar is not amazing, so patient with me a little bit. So first of all, I want to thank Jeff for hosting this evening. Toda rabba. Thank you so much, Jeff, and also Lara and the family. It's so big, everything's so big here. Even this place is big. Really, we're not used to that, Israelis. And also I saw we went to, before on the way here, we got him some Band-Aids in a place called, what's it called? Target? No, other one. Well, no, Dick's, please, whatever. Publix, yeah. Big, everything's so big. It's like the largest supermarket in Israel, an average one over here. We'll start talking about things that happened in the past couple of years in Israel. I'll tell you in the way that I experienced it, my wife experienced it, my in-laws experienced because they were evacuated from their homes. And really join me for a journey of Israel in the past maybe 20 years up to, of course, 2,000 years ago back now because we're still fasting over here on the 9th of Av. So about 8:45 I can have a coffee. And really understand that this is a very special time in Israel, that we're remembering our past. I just said yesterday about the story of Napoleon. Napoleon walked around, of course he tried to conquer Israel, didn't succeed. He came from Egypt, and he came from Egypt to the ground, then he conquered Israel. But when he passed by Cairo, and he saw a Jewish synagogue, and he saw people sitting on the floor reading a book, he said, "What are you guys doing? Why are you guys crying when you're reading that book? It's Eicha." So we're crying because we're remembering our temple that was destroyed years ago. How many years? 10, 20? No, 2,000, 3,000. Oh, a country that remembers that kind of history has a good future. That's what he said. And everything here is about this situation, about us, who we are, where we're coming from, where we're going to. And this is what we're going to talk about today. So I'm sure you know this place, very small, tiny dot in the middle of the Middle East. I'll give you a little small geopolitical update, what's going on now, also as we speak, to see what's going on. And also later on we'll get into my personal story. So Israel, the blue, we'll see the longest border is on the right. Eastern side is Jordan. Longest border. Jordan actually gets 20% of their, 80% of their water and gas from Israel. Dependent on Israel. The water is for free. The gas is, of course, a payment. And it's a very long border. It's secured, but there's a lot of drones going every day and night smuggling things into Israel. We're working on that. It's on process, but that's not an enemy country. We have peace with Jordan since 1995. Cold peace, but a peace. Egypt, same thing, cold peace. Also, there's a lot of drones going in to the Bedouins in the south. In the past 20, 30 years, they were smuggling into Gaza from that dot over there up the hill. Lots of things that we met on October 7th. RPGs, guns, and everything. It was a big, big factory of smuggling. It was a big, big business for the Egyptian government, even though they said officially they didn't see what's going on. And also a long border goes down to Eilat. The two enemy countries in the north, Lebanon and Egypt, and Lebanon and Syria, sorry. Lebanon, actually now where my troops, some of my friends are inside Lebanon as we speak, about 5 to 12 to 13 kilometers from the border, defending the borders and the communities on the border of Lebanon. Because we understand that if you defend on the border itself, okay, it's not good enough. We've learned that in the past couple of years. So we went into the land of Jordan, Lebanon. Syria, same thing. We have also about 5 to 6 miles of troops inside Syria. Now it's a different kind of regime. We're still looking into that leader, what's going on over there. That's about, and also inside Israel, Judea and Samaria is Palestinian Authority, which also is trying all the time to smuggle in and also through all kind of tunnels. For example, I'll show you a picture that I took of a tunnel that was dug up. You hear about Route 6 in Israel, main highway, Route 6, under Route 6, smuggling into a tunnel, digging a tunnel over there, and on and on. So this is Israel, and of course Gaza. We'll talk about Gaza because we've been there, and you've heard of short stories from there. This is, I call this map Finding Waldo. Why Finding Waldo? You could guess, right? When they say, I just heard now in the news that Israel, all the time Israel. I gave a talk to some Australian person in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs over there when I get in Jerusalem, and this guy came to me. He just landed from the plane and came to the ministry and spoke. Is Israel as big as Australia? I said, you serious? You don't know where you are? Okay, that's Israel. You cannot even write the name Israel inside, it's so small. Okay? So that's, people always, it's always on the news. Okay, we'll talk about the news in a few minutes. This is the history, Joe. I'll continue this over here. This is, of course, 1947, two-state solution. Okay, we, of course, said yes for this map because of, what's the reason? Because after 2,000 years wandering around the world, and I think this average age over here is smarter than me in this issue about their parents, grandparents, where they came from. You would say yes to anything, any country, even small. By the way, we got the swamps and the desert. Excellent. That's what the blue part. And what did the Palestinians get, or Arabs got the orange? They said no, of course, and launched an attack on Israel. They lost the opportunity for a country. And I'll just use this. And of course, Six-Day War was a big, big change for Israel. We tripled the land of Israel, as you can see, all the Sinai and Judea and Samaria, Gaza, Golan Heights, back and forth, all kind of, this is not a political talk, but giving land for peace in this was good for Israel. Later on, a little less, all kind of back and forth history. Golan Heights is annexed to Israel. It's good because if they would have not been that, the enemy of Syria would be on the Sea of Galilee. And Judea and Samaria, of course, is very, very important to have. It's the center of Israel. our history, and of course Gaza, which we'll talk about, that was annexed to Egypt, then annexed back to Israel. 64 officially became like Israel, and now it's Hamas control. So this map, you can see over here how close Gaza is to Israel. Okay, now I was called up that morning, October 7th. I was called up. I have responsibility of a lot of soldiers. And I could say that it's not easy to be called up because you have to leave your family, your kids, your community that depend on you. All the guys have to leave when you're under attack. That's not so normal, but you have to do it because that's your duty. And also I have responsibility because I have a lot of soldiers under my command. So my wife, my oldest son, who's now in the army, I gave him my pistol. I said, listen, something happens. And we really thought that everyone was under control, everyone was under attack that morning. And I left. I went towards Jerusalem to our storage camp, like a camp with a lot of storage rooms. We got our vests and our magazines. And then I get a phone call from my officer, where are you? Wait for orders. And wait for your soldiers to come to the base, and then you could go on to the missions. Meanwhile, I'm waiting for my orders. I see the WhatsApp, what's going on in the social media. It's crazy. Terrorists are inside the kibbutzim, inside the communities, are inside Sderot. What's going on? They're attacking Be'eri and everything. So I went with my 5 of my soldiers. Then things we saw on the way, and I'm sure you saw some videos, what happened over there. So we were under attack. My glass was shot, and my soldiers was hurt, and we were under attack. We went out, we killed some terrorists on the way, 2 motorcycles, a pickup truck, whatever. At the end, I get a phone call from my officer. Where are you in the base? I can't find you. I said, I'm in Sderot. What are you doing? Come back. So we spoke about Jewish guilt. Who has Jewish guilt? Right? So I think we have, us Jews, right? Always got to feel that kind of switch in your heart that, maybe I could have done something else differently. So I should have stayed, but I had to follow orders. I had to go back to my base because I had soldiers waiting for me. Because it could be if I would have stayed more, saved more lives, who knows? I got 5 guys with magazines. Whatever. That's with me and this guilt. So this question I wrote over here about what's the difference, why didn't it happen over here and over there, because in the morning of October 7th, 22 battalions were called up to Judea and Samaria, and 22 battalions were called to the northern border. Thank God Hezbollah didn't attack that morning. Really, thank God, because really it's if they would have attacked, I'm not sure we would have existed in the north. Haifa was being attacked for sure. And it's important because the cities were secured, and the Jewish communities were secured all around Judea and Samaria and the north and the Lebanon borders. Thank God for that. And those soldiers said, all the actions in Gaza, what are we doing here? But they were doing a good job. And a very important job, too. This is an example of, that's my soldier over there, Captain Shai. He's giving you the brief of missions. So when my guys were called up that morning, they came from all kind of backgrounds. I got soldiers, left wing, right wing, religious, secular. I got even some Hasidim guys. And I have Druze, D-R-U-Z-E, Druze guys. And I have Arab Muslims. We get along just fine when there are no news and people talking to us about those things. I have a lot of soldiers, all of Am Yisrael together, like 12 tribes, in one big unit. Which, by the way, before the war, just weeks before, some of those guys called me up, Daniel, I'm not going to come because of this crazy time of the Supreme Court and all the justice system was going on. But when they were called, they came. You got to come. We're under attack. 120% of my soldiers came that morning. They left their families, jobs, and the first deployment was 5 months. 5 months, guys. So of course, you go back and forth for like every month you go home for a few days to breathe a little bit, be with the kids, family, whatever, catch up with work. And then I have a touring company, so it was good for me not being there because, no tours in the middle of a war. And then our second deployment was inside Gaza for 2 months. Inside Gaza, came back for Passover. Then go back again. For a few days, go back, we went to Shechem, to Nablus, and to Jenin. Go back and forth again, home. Like it was our 6th deployment. I'm not number 1 anymore of the unit. I'm now in the unit of the spokesperson of the IDF, so I'm like, no more vest for me and no more gun. But my soldiers are still going back. 6th time in end of August, for the holidays. Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, they're not going to be home for the 6th time. These guys are amazing people, giving their life, and they have injuries you cannot see. Okay? When you're PTSD, or wake up in the morning shouting at your wife or kids because you hear something going on, or some plane driving around you, you're sweaty and you can't fall asleep because of that. That's not an injury you could say, oh, I have a bullet in my whatever. No, you can't see that. It's a problem. We're working on that. I'll talk later on what it means, working on this issue of PTSD, which, by the way, a few days before the attack, October 3rd, I was talking with Uri Arenfeld, some guy he's now in his 70s, and he was in capture in Egypt in Yom Kippur War, Yom Kippur 1973. He was in capture for 2 months and a half in Egyptian dungeons, and they brought him back, and now he wrote a book after 50-something years of how he can't sleep at night. That's a long time after. So now, of course, nowadays it's much more like, I remember when I was a young boy in school, I was not so listening, amazing student. They say, oh, he's stupid, he's not. Now it's ADHD, ADD, it's all the explanations, right? So now there's explanation for these things. Now it's understood to have PTSD. Then it was, oh, you're a weirdo, get out of the society. You tell me this if it's true or not, right? Okay? So we can see over here missions we do all the time. This is an example of a computer, a special computer we have. Like everything you see, it's kosher, so it's fine. We have a terrorist house over here. You guys watching down from the 2 guys looking down there. You have guys over here. You have all every night, at night, we do missions. We arrest terrorists. Unfortunately, I'll say to this audience over here that the terrorism is not stopping in Israel. What's going on here? I'll tell you why later on. It's not stopping. What's going on? Why shouldn't my kid, he's 18 over there, also fasting, so he's looking for food in a few minutes, and my oldest, who's now in the army as an officer, he's an amazing pianist, by the way, my oldest son. Maybe I'll show you a video of him play piano. Amazing pianist and an artist. And now he has to go into Gaza and go into tunnels and shoot and kill and do missions. He should start his life like people over here. One of the reasons that I think the big difference in Israelis' culture and other cultures in the world is because that when you start your life in America, you start when you're 18, you start going to college. When you got to go to college, we call it like 18, 19, right? Or university. Finish 22, start work. In Israel, you start mechina or yeshiva or going to the army, 18. 22, 23, you finish. Because you wanted to also go to India to get drugged up a little bit, get smoked or whatever. And then you go to South America to also have a nice journey with a backpack with a half a year with a friend and girlfriend or whatever. And then come back home and start your life in age 23, 24. That's one of the reasons, by the way, when people are a little more mature. I'm saying this for Israelis because the startups in Israel and Tel Aviv and Jerusalem are amazing. The average age is 30 because they know what it means to work as a group. They know what it means to work in pressure. These guys experience things in life. And by the way, the highest hub in the world per capita for this in the high tech is in Ramat Gan, Tel Aviv. It's in Israel. I don't know how I get that. So this is an example of what we do in arrests. Okay, this is a Palestinian home. We go and find terrorists. We find guns. We find knives. We find, as you can see over here, cash, checks, terrorists, and we can see over here an example. These checks over here are funding terrorism, coming from Switzerland. And where does it come from originally? It comes from Iran. Iran is the #1 funding terrorism in the Middle East. That's one of the reasons we have to stop that. It's important. Okay, we're not afraid of missiles coming from Iran now, because we can stop them. We have a technology. By the way, we have now, after half a year, even better technology. We have a laser dome. Cheaper, much cheaper. So missiles are going to come. Maybe could they said maybe tonight, this weekend. Who knows? It depends on your president. Okay, so the missiles are going to come from Iran into Israel, and we're going to stop them in Jordan somewhere. By the way, we have laser domes in Jordan. We have iron domes in the eastern side of Jordan, close to Iraq. Ours. We have our troops there too. And by the way, also we have CIA, Mossad agents inside Iran now as we speak, gathering new targets for the next bombings. Okay, but that's funding terrorism. So the issue of the missiles, we're not afraid. We're afraid of the nuclear power coming to our neighbors. You saw the map before? Those two countries in the north and also Egypt. If they're going to come not 2,000 miles from us, but 2 miles from us, that's already a dangerous issue. That's what we can't have. And they're closing us from all the sides. We wish to have American Canadians as neighbors like you have, or Mexico Gulf, whatever. So we can see over here, that's an area of Tulkarem. That's a city in Judea and Samaria that was destroyed because of terrorism, and of terrorism. We see a mosque over there, and this terrorist was actually also a son of a big guy who was arrested. These guys planned to do an attack on a school in Ramat Gan. That's a little small example of our unit, what we do. Okay, this is Pride drones. Drones is a life-saving device. It became a very much and better device in Israel, also for stopping terrorism, arresting people from the roofs, looking down and really keeping our guys safe in all kind of ways. This was a video we did at the end of one of the deployments to give a little motivation to our soldiers. That's Jenin. That's Lebanon. We got it, right? We got it? Okay, we got it. Okay, cool. That's the best thing, by the way, in the Army. A coffee stop. You know the coffee? Making coffee in a thing? That's the most important thing. If they tell you more things are important than that, don't believe them. The coffee stop in the middle, after a mission or before the mission, it's very important. This guy, for example, he's a lawyer. This guy over here he is working in a hotel. And these guys he's actually a lawyer. A lot of Jewish lawyers here. He's from what's high tech. He's a hairdressing guy. This is normal people, regular people, coming, stopping their life, and defending Israel. And by the way, how many percent of Israelis do this? You know, 2%. What? Add the Arab Israelis. Add the ultra-Orthodox, the Hasidim. You know, the guys who don't go into the army. Okay, and women and children. So 2% of the society goes into the reserves. So that's why it's all on us. And 70% of Israel's army is reserves. That's why we have to have these guys. These guys are getting tired. They're getting exhausted. So I said the first deployment was 120% came to the deployment. Guess what my fifth one, because that was my last one, I did it as a commander. Fifth deployment, 50% came. That's not good. Guys are getting tired, exhausted because of this. Because I could officially tell my guys, if you don't come, I'm putting you in jail. I could put them in jail. It's called military jail. It's actually a vacation, so it's good. If you want to go to work, go to military jail. Because he has to come. But he told me, guys, dude, Daniel, 44 times I came for more than 300, 400 days. I can't come because my wife's having a baby, or my boss in work is on my brains. I can't do it, or or enough. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't take it anymore. I can't go into an Arab house anymore. It's too much for me. These guys are not fighters in their DNA. These guys are lawyers, farmers, and doctors or whatever, and teachers. That's what they do in life. I have a touring company. I'm a tour guide. I took Nikki Haley around a few months ago, whatever. But still, that's what I do. I'm doing good. I love doing my teaching history, teaching Jewish in cool places in Israel. That's what I like doing. That's my life. I'm not a fighter. I am a fighter because I was trained to be a fighter. But I'm called up because I have no other option, because if not us, we're not going to have Israel. Israel's not going to exist without the reservists, guys. As we speak now, all the reservists are protecting all the borders of Israel. And regular soldiers, the guys from 18 to 21 are going into Gaza, missions inside Lebanon. But the borders are protected by the reservists. It's on us. This is an example I told you before about the tunnel going in. This is a Kalkilia city going down into Route 6, and that was their plan. This over here, that's my new friend over here. She's my girlfriend, because she's one of my soldiers who was killed, his daughter. And you see him over here, okay, and you see him over there also. That's him, my soldier who was killed. But this was a year ago, actually, when that terrorist just now shot a Molotov cocktail on a car passing, and he does all the things he's supposed to do, all the laws of engagement. If he comes close, you can't shoot him. Only he's very, very close, which means if a terrorist is over here close to me, I could shoot to kill. But if he's over there, I can't do it because he's not endangering my life. He did everything kosher here, right? He got a medal also from the. So this is his wife over here called Hila. She's religious, modern Orthodox. That's my secretary, and that's her brother, and that's Elchanan's daughter, who she was pregnant when he was killed. Having soldiers who were killed, injured, okay, not easy. This Jewish guilt I spoke about, you always feel that all the time, especially the commander in charge of these guys, of their lives. People don't talk about this, that, you have to go back home and tell your wife, listen, I lost a soldier today in a mission, or this or that, or 2 guys were injured, I got to go visit them. But I have to go to my mission, so I go visit them. And not easy, but that's life now in this past couple of 3 years. It was a small version, a shorter version, different kind of version of active duty in before the war, because of course I was going to the reserves also before the war, but maybe 3 weeks a year, that's it, maybe. Not 3 months, 5 months, half a year. And so it's not easy, but that's Yotam, a good friend of mine. He got 3 bullets in his body. Thank God he's an amazing guy and really in good life. This over here we could see a example of from the river to the sea. Now in every Palestinian house you see that. Now I also believed in peace. I believed in peace. I believed that we could live with the Arabs next to us and have a good negotiation and everything. But what I've seen with my eyes showed me that they don't want that. We want that. When we say two-state solutions, we say Arabs next to the Jews. When they say two-state solution in Arabic, not in English, when they start talking to the world, in Arabic, in their own language, they say Palestinian and Hamas, or Palestinian, Judea and Samaria, and Gaza, or whatever. They don't even have Jews, Israel in their maps. And I've seen their schools, the books. They don't talk about Israel. They don't want to live next to us. They want to live instead of us. And this is what's written down. Don't ask me. It's not political, guys. It's facts in their books. I'm not, what's it called, New York Post or New York Times? No. Doesn't matter what you read in English or in Hebrew, what kind of newspapers, this is facts. I can show you more of these pictures if you want. Okay? And you can see on the house over there also, you can see a picture of the terrorists of the house. The guy was killed, and he's a martyr now. Everyone admire him. They have squares and all kind of junctions named after these terrorists. It's a problem, because it's everything in education. You change that education, that's a solution. And I really believe that we could, because I have friends who are Arabs. I got friends, I got Palestinians. My electrician is Palestinian. Okay, we live side by side, we're good friends. We smoke hookah together sometimes. You know hookah? Hookah, the smoke. It's not good, it's not so healthy. And we get along, we disagree with politics, or we do or agree with politics, but they hate the Palestinian Authority, this guy. But we have to understand that this whole living together is a dream we have, not them. And it's a problem. We gotta think how it's solved, because now these coming elections are also on the talking about what's going to do with Palestinians. And after October 7th, we woke up. We've seen things. October 7th, what they did that morning, coming 6,000 people, 4,000 terrorists, and 2,000 citizens, innocent citizens coming from Gaza, 2,000, a third of them came to kill, to steal, to take what they can, and these are the women and children. By the way, you know the Bibas family, the Gingy redheads, famous Bibas kids who were killed in the capture? So next to their house was a family in Nir Oz called Calderon family. The Calderon family were brought back, thank God. But the Calderon family, when they were smoked out of the house because their trick was to light the house out in the security room, and they had to smoke, they were choked, or if not, they opened the window and they ran after they jumped out of the window, and they were hiding in a bush. Who found them? A 10-year-old boy from Gaza said, here, come, here they are, come, take them. Terrorists. He brought the terrorists to find the family, and they were taken to Gaza as captured. Is this 10-year-old terrorist? No, he's not a terrorist. I'm not going to kill a 10-year-old boy when I'm inside Gaza. But he's brainwashed. It's a problem. Change education, we have good future with Palestinians. Which is, I'm not sure it's going to happen soon. This is an example of the guys, these are pictures we found in those places. This is pictures we took from our phones. Okay, this over here is an example of, that's Be'eri kibbutz. Okay, there was a question, where was the intelligence that morning, right? Where was it? Where was Israel? Where's the IDF? If you ask every kibbutznik around Gaza, where was the IDF that morning? That's a question he wants them to answer. The answer is it the first invasion into Israel, the first 2,000, were not the guys who you saw do all those crazy videos and sending them to their friends in Gaza. They're the people who came and stopped the reaction of IDF and the police. They went to the police station, they went to the army bases, and they went to the main junctions to wait for army to come and do a booby trap or whatever, and they went to the stations of the antennas and the communication centers, and really did a very good job. They waited this for 3 years, they planned that attack. Even more. And 3 years before, that 3 years, we were helping them. I have friends of mine from Be'eri who invited those people into their homes, helped them to go to the hospitals and take them to the surgeries around Jerusalem, around in Karam or Tel Aviv hospitals. We were so good to them. And they flipped on us. By the way, people really believe now, if you go to Be'eri kibbutz or Nir Oz, they still think that we're going to have a future with the Palestinians together. You ask them, but they came and they used your goodness to do bad. I have no answer for that. Over here we see a CNN guy over here, whatever. This is Al Jazeera. That's when he does in his job. That's what he does in his free time. Okay, which means he's a Hamas terrorist. A lot of journalists in Gaza, which the world got a lot of information from them. The United Nations, European Union, is from these kind of guys who in daytime they're that, and nighttime they're that. And this is a camp over here of a fake kibbutz in Israel to plan to attack. And they were attacking. The girls, the beautiful girls, they were watching those pictures of what's going on in Israel. They did such a good job. And they're amazing people. But no one listened to them. It's a problem. So, you know the movie, Three Monkeys? See no evil, talk no evil, right? If you have no one listening to the information they're giving, it's a problem. And these guys over here, these girls, and the pictures were showing them what's going on. They're training inside a fake kibbutz inside Gaza. Why don't you just destroy the place? No, they're not going to attack us. Kol yeh beseder. If Israeli says yeh beseder, don't believe him. Especially as a commander. That's, by the way, Shani Luke over there. This picture got the #1 prize of a picture of the year in some university in America. Unfortunately, that's Shani Luke, our hostage who was killed. This is over here we see the a number of attacks inside Israel's border, and all the kibbutzim nearby that were attacked. Okay, and also the army bases. And over here is the after the hostage deal we had last year, the yellow line is now officially the border. So they lost land. Okay? I believe, hopefully, this will be the deal. You attacked us, you lose land. They don't care about losing people. They don't care about losing their families and children. They only care about land and Jerusalem, because they call this whole battle the freedom of Jerusalem, and it's a problem. So this over here is my family. That's my son over there. Okay, we miss him because that was with us in our tour. Okay, that's on the left over there, and this over here. And that's when he finished the officer course. He's in interesting units called the Yahalom. And it's not easy also when I talk about who's the real hero in my house, it's not me, it's my wife. Because she had a son who was joined the Army, Special Forces. I was in the Army a lot of days. And her parents were evacuated from their home for a year and a half. They live in Kiryat Shmona in the north. Her two sisters were evacuated also. And now she was in charge of all the women of the reservists in our community. Now, good luck sleeping. So it's not easy to have this situation in this whole, in this war of this kind of responsibility. But that's a life. When he was born, 22 years ago, and when he was born, he's going next year in the Army. He's 18 years old already. And you want to show some of the muscles? No. Okay, just joking. He's going to a mechina, which means he learned philosophy, Bible studies, a year before the army to get more spiritual studies, and then they go to the army. It's a cool program in Israel, amazing program. It becomes really good leadership of programs, and over here we can see also interesting pictures of all kind of celebrities coming, and I would take them around my company because that guy. He's usually with Kafia. I forgot his name. He's a Saudi Arabian Muslim talking good things about Israel, and that's your ambassador. Also, she does a lot of videos. She's a Jewish Christian. Yeah, exactly. And interesting things like that. So, what brought me to do what I'm doing nowadays, which means I've left combat, also because my wife didn't, when she tells you what to do something, you just do it. For world peace, world peace, it was on purpose. World peace, but family peace, right? A good home, because he's in combat, my son. So enough. So 2 guys is enough. So I left. I'm now in the spokesperson of the IDF, working with them, talking in English, mostly talking of people, representatives in Israel. Also using my company, touring company, for also kind of like VIP tours and everything. And also helping Magav, which is the eastern side of Jerusalem, where they're helping a lot of security. And also I met Jeff over there, because they brought me in to talk to an American guy, American person that needs to an Israeli English, to talk to him in English, to explain what's going on in English. So I talked to Jeff, and I met Jeff just 2 months ago, we met. What I met over here is a person who loves Israel so much in his heart, and I connected to him. And I like people like that, so it's a cool father he got there. And it's amazing because it's not obvious nowadays, with all going social media, with all the press, to love Israel. It's so easy to hate Israel because we're taught to that in the world. It's 200 billion Muslims and people who hate Israel against how many Jews? 15 million altogether, 15? So of course it's not the odds it's supposed to be. But I told this at the beginning of Tisha B'Av, we spoke of this yesterday in the synagogue, that before Jews were in Israel, no one wanted Israel. Look in history. When Mark Twain came to visit Israel, this is Israel? The promised milk and honey land? Look at his book. Go to Google, write the book of My Journey in the Promised Land. Okay, Mark Twain. He says it's nothing land, nothing's here, desert. Camels and, desert. Who wants to come live in this place? No milk, no honey. Because Jews were not there. It was before we came back in Zionism. When we come back, we see what we've created in this world. a startup nation. Now everyone wants to be part of this place. Those Arabs, those locals, neighbors, everyone wants to have a bite of Israel because we've made an amazing dream. And it's a miracle what we made. Because when Ben-Gurion said years ago that whoever doesn't believe in miracles, he's not a realist, because he saw what happened in so many miracles one after another in this promised land of Israel. That small tiny dot we saw before in the middle of the Middle East. Without us, we had no cell phones maybe, who knows, the small tech. A lot of course, nowadays more modern, but still, so many things we've changing the world. Just a few months ago, we got a pill that you could swallow as a camera. You could look in your phone with Bluetooth. You see your inside the stomach. I don't know how nice it is, how beautiful it is, but it's a selfie inside. Cool, beautiful, but it's for doctors, I think, not for me. I don't understand. I see a lot of blood, whatever. But really doing a good miracle work in everything in Israel and in the world, and we're doing so good to the world. And that's not obvious, what we experienced. We're attacked all the time in social media, all those Jews. I went to give a lecture last year in Atlanta University, and I was attacked by a baby killer. I was called by a baby killer. Yeah, I'm a baby killer, yeah, right. The most moral unit in the world. You know how much laws we have of engagement to do what we do, and I've endangered my soldiers to go into a house inside no matter what, where, just because it could be there's some innocent people inside. Not even one world army in the world does that. When you have the Supreme Court over here, you have the lawyer over here, you have this over there, you have the press, so of course. And also you're moral. I told you, we're not fighters in our DNA. We're normal people, like you guys. But then you get called up, you got to go to do what you do. So I decided to do good for Israel, and I started like a social entrepreneur, kind of like a volunteering organization. We started with my soldiers and my. I started with my troops. I send a WhatsApp to my troops. I did a translate in ChatGPT. It's very good. Translate. I said like this. The amount of the reserve duty we're doing is hard to explain, amount of days. Most of it is intense. Much of it beyond the lines. At some point, you have to give up 3 things: the family, career, or your reserve service, which, like I told you before, 50% of my guys had to give up. I choose to give up sleep and to keep finding ways to give back to my community. But this isn't a long-term solution. The real solution is simple. Everyone should share the responsibility, and more people should help carry the burden so those who serve don't have to carry it alone. That's what I sent my soldiers in my last deployment at the end, to give them a yesher koach. Thank you so much for coming. See you in a few more months. But I'm saying that to you guys also. I believe everyone, we're family, and I felt that with Jeff. I saw all people I came to visit, and Jewish people around the world are family. And yes, some people have to go fight. Some people have to, I'm sure you guys came together in all kind of ways in the beginning of the war, gave bulletproof vests and everything, and did all kind of cool stuff and giving to Israel. But I really believe that if you're part of our community, bigger community, you got to give. You could give letters, you could send things like that. You don't have to send donations. You could also send motivation, which is also not less important sometimes. Or if you're a therapist or a doctor, come visit, and I'll give you a lot of jobs. If you're a psychologist or you you treat Afghanistan guys coming from Afghanistan, come treat Israelis coming from back home from war. I had a lady, her name is Barbara Lighthouse from New Jersey. My soldier was killed, I told you, El Hanan. And that same platoon killed a different soldier from a different unit a week after. That's called, what's it called? Friendly fire? Now that's a hard thing to do. When you kill a different soldier from a different unit, it was very hard. Some of my guys didn't want to go back. So I was looking for a therapist for a whole for days for my soldiers, that company. You're not going back to battle until you're treated. I told them. So they went back home a few days, came back to the base. They were staying in the base for a few days until I got a therapist from where? From New Jersey. I imported one from Israel, from America. She came. She was a professor of psychology, some university. She was like an amazing person, and she started to treat my soldiers. We had a barrier, an English barrier, because she didn't know Hebrew, but we found that phones and everything is amazing. We got the problem. So everyone could help. So I started to start a social entrepreneur organization. One of them, I work with PTSD, with family. Ray could tell you about every few weeks we do a weekend of therapy for couples because guys are getting divorced. A lot of fights, not easy. You're changing. I don't know you. Who are you? Come back. Wait, you still thinking about your soldiers, your battles, or what? Come back home. I miss you. That's not spoken in the news. That's not written down how many divorced people are getting divorced in the IDF. So I work also for an organization called Magen 48. You can see that this guy over here, of course, is ChatGPT. There's very good-looking guys. See them? Beautiful people, right? Of course, it's not real because it's ChatGPT. It's like, what's it called? It's media. But because you have to have a Yemenite guy at least, one of the persons, or all kind of people. They're not tan enough for Israel. But what we're doing is bringing back people to the kibbutzim in the south by security, which means the army's in charge of the security, right? But they say, no, we're giving you the guns, we'll give you, some first responders, and that's it. Good luck. Who trains them? Who's going to be in charge? So we take the Magen 48 takes these guys, trains them 8 sessions a year, and because of security, they feel security, they're going to also bring back the young couples. And by the way, what is the Hamas, when they look into Israel, they look towards the east, and they see Israel, what is the worst thing they see when they look into Israel? Cranes. Building up the communities again. They tried to kill us, attack us. We're not only fixing it up, we're actually building much more. It says in Hebrew, "Kasher yanuto kenirbe v'chenifrotz." The more you attack us, we get stronger and better. That's amazing. That's a miracle. You know how many young couples are in waiting lists into kibbutzim in the south? In Sderot, the most attacked or bombed city in the world? You know how many people want to go to those places to live? Because of security, it became a secured place. Because of Magen 48. They're training them and giving them lots of, and by the way, one of the conditions is if you're a combat officer, ex-combat officer, you have to be part of the first responders too. So you'll bring your friends too, to live in your neighborhood too. Why not? It's cool. So this is, I'm not going to go into the specific things I see over here, but strategy is actually an example of, I'll give you 2 examples. Kibbutz Erez and Kibbutz Netiv Asara. Kibbutz Erez was trained pre-October 7th. Kibbutz Netiv Asara, which is a neighbor kibbutz, was not trained. Kibbutz Netiv Asara they were called up, the first responders were called up. One first responder was killed. No, the terrorists did not succeed going into the kibbutz, turned around, went back to Gaza. Netiv Asara, which is nearby, they were not trained. They came into the kibbutz, killed 17 people, kidnapped people into Gaza, destroyed half of the first responders team. You could have a gun, but do you know how to use the gun? Who trained you? How many sessions do you have of training? It's very important, and security brings back the communities and the young couples too. So over here we could see, I could actually show you, I could actually add this to the video, a nice video you have of families coming back and living over here back in the communities. And we can see over here what we do and what Magen 48 does and the regional things. And really, we're doing a very good job in security because the Army gives 80% of the budget, by the way, which means the salaries of the trainers, the salaries of the first responders, and the ammunition. But all the rest, which is a lot of money, we give. okay, which is a lot of things. We give the devices, and we're building now a whole new training device as big as like 2 of these halls. Okay, I just came from Orlando, and Ray came with me to see this, what we're doing business with them to bring that technology to Israel. Okay, and really good things we're doing. And by the way, we're doubling we're going to get 9,000 civilians, but 90,000. We're going to really have this impact much more. And this is the problem, by the way. So this over here is trained by Magen 48, Judea and Samaria, and the north, not yet. So now we're doing deals with the government of going to the north. Okay, by the way, that's a problem. Okay, also, what's going to happen in the north with Hezbollah? Are we going to have a ceasefire just like the yellow line in Gaza? Not, okay. Also depends on your prime minister, your government, and your president, because he's in this whole issue. By the way, when you do a ceasefire with the enemy, America does a ceasefire with Iran, for them it's victory. For them, they won. When they do negotiations of what's going to happen, for them it's victory. Really, ask them. Ask Iranians, they won because of the ceasefire with America. And they laugh at the Americans, sorry to say, and the Israelis. Because they're we really think we're going to stop our arms? You think the Hamas in Gaza are going to take down their arms, put it on the thing, and hug the Jews? No. What do you think is going to happen? We said, you got to change education. That's the basic. Someone said, let's have a big Amazon factory in Gaza. They'll work over there, have good salaries, because Amazon's not so good in America, in Israel, so maybe it'll be a good solution. Also, this is the phases we're doing over here and all kind of things we're doing in the hub we're building over there. It's like also an amazing training thing and really doing good work in this organization. Also resilience centers we're building over there. Resilience center is now so important now. By the way, resilience is, you know what? Come to Israel, learn about resilience. My son, the youngest son is 11, Eyal. He asked me a few days ago, before we came to America, I asked me before the vacation, it was like a few weeks ago, Abba, I wish we'll have missiles from Iran. I miss it. Why? Because we don't have school. He doesn't care. Because there's missiles, there's no school. It's like snow in New York or whatever. He doesn't care. He says, oh, there's missiles. Are you afraid? We need a hug. No, Abba, I don't want missile. I don't want school tomorrow. So when I say from the trauma we make life, there's a different, and I'll have time for questions in a few minutes. Having a situation where you have a different direction of traffic, which means not running from the trauma, going to it, that's only in Israel. Do you guys have lone soldiers in your community? Or in some communities you know about lone soldiers? You know what lone soldiers are? The Americans come to Israel, they serve. So October 8th, they had so many planes coming from America to Israel because the guys wanted to join the battle. And the traffic was of all kind of communities helping the communities that were attacked, not running from, but going to. That's amazing. And also, like I said, now, the amount of people that are coming to live back in the area of the Gaza envelope area is amazing, is a miracle. So this is an example of an example of what you could do also if you have like young generations, people want to adopt a community, so you give a donation to a bar mitzvah project. You come to Israel like a bus or whatever, or an older group, whatever. It could be bar mitzvah, it could be whatever you want, and you adopt them, you help them. They'll invite you to the kibbutz. They'll have you in their like a 4-star, 3-star hotel, motel, but have a good time and see what the real life is going on in Israel, and have a good time. You give them, they give you, and they'll teach you things of farming and resilience and beautiful things going on around their place, and it's an amazing experience. So that's what we organize also as Magen 48. And all these guys are working with us, IDF, and of course regional councils and Homefront and everything. This is an example of what I came out a year ago actually. So yeah, so there's things we could sue. This is an example, next to our house is a resilience center we're building. I took you there? I think you went there, right? We bring guys who are injured like we told you before, you can't see those injuries, and we take care of them. They have 3 times a day, they have therapists, and they have yoga, and they have whatever they have there, all kind of things, and they take care of themselves. But we need not 3 times a day, we need 6 times a week. Okay, so it's always giving more in your own way. This is over here. This is the weekends of Shabbat. Okay, really, it's example after the Shabbat weekends for therapy. This was 2 years ago. This was only 200 days. Okay, this is also this is a good friend of mine who was killed, called Roy Levy. He's a colonel in the Special Forces, amazing guy. He was with me, officer course. We planted in his honor more than 2,000 trees, olive trees. That's his mother over there. This is another project of a mobile gym, which means now we have soldiers inside Gaza, inside Lebanon. How do they train? They can't move, because if they move, especially with those drones, they're going to be, they can't, so they stuck there for 3 months, not even moving. They get fat. No, they don't get fat, but it's terrible food, so they don't get fat. But so we build up mobile gyms, okay, which they go around. They go around the area like that, okay, and they you can open it up, take it to any army base, and hook this up, and they can start training. Okay, so that's an example. But these things I showed you just now is all kind of opportunities of helping Israel. So I'm doing this. So I tell my wife that I'm a rich person because, first of all, the rabbis say years ago in the Mishnah says, who's the rich? A person who's happy with what he has in life. So I'm happy, thank God I have kids, wife, and everything. And also, I'm happy with my work. I have good work. And also, for about 30% of my time, I'm doing this volunteering work, which is amazing. And it gives me so much more than my regular work. Actually, work also is good, but when you give and you work on these, everything I told you, the Magen 48, and it's called Our Family First, the weekends for therapists, and the Resilience Center for the PTSD, and the mobile gym, and everything. It's really things that I don't get a salary for that. It's going directly, because I'll tell you this, there was a problem of donations in the IDF in this war. There was a problem. Because I, for example, was a commander of a base, and I get some guy calls me, Daniel, we want to do a barbecue for your soldiers. Okay, amazing, come. My soldiers, we have crappy food, barbecue is very good, excellent. Enjoy the barbecue. So I come, and so I come to this person over here. I said, oh, thank you for paying for the barbecue. Oh, yeah, where are you from? New Jersey? Okay, then after a few hours, a few minutes, I see another different person. He also paid for the barbecue, and he's from Florida. I don't get it. Who paid for the barbecue? So the guy at the barbecue got 3 or 4. You get what I'm saying? For one barbecue. So I said, what's going on here? So I understand. So sometimes, Jewish businessmen are not amazing, they want to use the way, but no. But I'm saying that, of course, it's a good thing, but the barbecues are amazing. Not all people did it, of course. Most of the guys, 90% did an amazing job, and giving 100%, when you give, you get. But I'm saying that I'm doing this voluntarily. And when you want to get for example, a mobile gym, you go direct to the company, you pay, and that's it. No middleman person that says, oh, well, I gotta pay for my secretary, my whatever offices. No, direct, and it's amazing. So me and my team is about 35, 40 guys and women, reservists. All of us reservists. Most of them from my unit, because we just started this whole thing. And just, for example, I don't get, I don't want to take money for giving a talk because I don't feel this is my therapy over here. Okay, I really feel this is my talking to people, and I'll have a few minutes for also questions for all kind of issues, if geopolitics, whatever you guys want to ask. It's my therapist, really. It's good. It's good for me. Okay, questions. Yes.
What kind of volunteer positions do you have if we come and visit?
So we could take you on a bus if you want, bring you into Army base. We could help over there. We could take you to communities. We could take you to resilience centers to just sit with the guys, talk to them. You know how happy the soldiers are when they have someone from America or wherever they come from. Toda Rabba. Thank you for your service. Oh, wow, because, in Israel, it's already becoming a little like, oh, you're in the reserves? Enough. Everyone's, it's not obvious. Oh, it's obvious. In the beginning, it was, wow. Now it's, my fourth time, it's like, we're getting used to it already. So, but if you come and say appreciation and give them a little present, whatever, from your community, some stickers, some hats, some Miami Heat, New York Knicks, I don't know, just example. But really, those small things do a big thing for the soldiers. Now for soldiers, talk to the wives, go meet the family, or organize, instead of she cooking cook a meal for a Friday night and by herself, organize a nice caterer for $150, $200 for that specific families and help for them also. There's so many ways to do that show you care and show that we're not by ourselves. These 2% of guys, we feel sometimes, we're neglected. And it's a feeling, especially the guys who are injured. In the beginning, they got a nice presence in the hospital, and people came to visit them. I'm sure you guys had missions to Israel. I'm sure you had people coming and giving and whatever. But now they're off. Now they're back home. They're by themselves. Now it's quiet. There's a lot of ways to help. We'll be in touch. Okay, I'll give you my information later on, either by the rabbi or I'll give you because it's a link over here. And whatever you want to do, guys, is welcomed. Yes?
What's the consensus amongst the reservists of the effectiveness of this current campaign against Iran?
So the specific reservists, my guys, or 90% of the guys are not part of this battle because it's more Air Force and intelligence, and it's less my guys who are in the borders and Judea and Samaria and arrests. The 10% guys who are in this war, they're always on call. I have a friend of mine who's a neighbor who's in Yamam, and a different guy who's a pilot. They're not home in the past year. Really not home. They're always on call on the base because any moment it could happen. It's making them crazy. It has to happen, by the way, this attack. Like I said, the head of the snake has to be cut off for good. They're really doing work to do, but we're getting ready. We're doing a lot of getting ready for. The green light we don't have yet. We want to continue. By the way, in the past couple of days, America attacked every other night, every night. Before Trump talks about something else or negotiations, we gotta finish up the job. We wanna continue because the only way to take down Iran, by the way, is together. Israelis and America. America can't do it by himself, and Israel can't do it by itself. We have to do it together because we have the targets are together. And when we're together a few months ago, it was amazing. What is the end game? One of the reasons we're now in boots on the ground, some people, some specific units, intelligence units are inside Iran to change the regime. I agree. But right. By the way, in the Hamas or Hezbollah, you take down number one, replace the new snake, a new head all the time. But this why this is not a cut. It's supposed to be surgery.
There's a lot of dialogue. There's still 1,000 pounds of fissile U-235 buried in
Well, there's ways to take it down. And I think the most important thing is to have the people of Iran, which are always felt by that we're, listen, between us, in the homes and the cities of Iran, and Tehran, everything, they're still influenced by the regime and also physically, babysitted all the time by the regime. Second, the regime will be off. You'll see how much power the people have. And you saw a little taste last time before the attacks when they had demonstrations, but they were shooting them down and killing them all the time. So it's not fair. When the power will go off, the people will come out and start a different change. This will be a big mess, and they say in Israel, balagan, for a few years. But I prefer balagan in Iran than funding terrorism. Okay, last question. Okay, so thank you guys for listening. Yes, last one. Not last one. Yes.
Do women serve in the army and do the men get pensions after they serve?
Well, the men who work in the army, the men who go to the, I'm a reservist, so I don't get a pension and a salary from the government. Okay, but here, this is an example of a girl. This girl is a girl. She's a female fighter. That girl, see, and she's an Oketz. It's a mixed unit, girls and boys. Magav, which Jeff met, girls and boys together. A lot of the fighting units are with females. Some units, what we do is impossible for the girls, just physically, and also the training we have. It's impossible for the girls to pass. Yes, the government is trying, and also the army is trying to put more into more special forces and more the tanks units and everything. It will take time, but it's going to happen. My issue is the ultra-Orthodox. That's my issue. I think they're supposed to give. I get Social Security and health care from the government, and I pay taxes, like every good citizen, but they get, and they don't give anything. They get the same kind of conditions as I have. Why? It's not fair. Why should a guy who sits down and learning yeshiva, and by the way, he's listed in yeshiva, but most of the time he's outside doing, I don't know what he's doing, doesn't go to the army, doesn't go to work, and he's actually a burden on the society, not giving to society, and he's taught to sit down and just get money from the government as allowance every week or every month. It's going to change. Hopefully it'll change, because now in the past couple of years, they were in the coalition, in the government, and they had a lot of power. And Bibi likes going with those guys. It's a problem. And I think it's not fair. Why should my son go to the army, endanger his life, and miss out years, good years of his life, even though he gains a lot, by the way, more than he gives. And the Hasidim and the Arab Israelis who don't give everything. Arab Israelis, well, by the way, go into hospitals, become doctors, and become nurses and everything. They start much before my kids, and the bad guys will give. I think the main solution should be: you don't give, you don't get. Very simple. You give, you get. You don't give, you don't get. Isn't that simple? That's my dream. Hopefully it'll happen after elections. Guys, I'll send out my information. Okay, like a little small card. I just told Ray I forgot the cards in my house. Too bad. But really, guys, be part of the family. And that's the most important moral message from this talk. It's amazing. You be part of the family, you'll feel so good with yourself. Toda rabba.
Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, and I also want to thank our volunteers. I want to thank Jeff Lichterman for sponsoring this event, Men's Club, Sisterhood. Before you leave, if you wouldn't mind taking your stuff to the trash, and so we can leave the room. I also want to thank our custodians tonight. Have a great evening. Thank you.